And the Democratic Party are paying large creators ungodly amounts of money to sway the public into voting for the left. And
that are getting paid handsomely, up to $200,000, to make content and live streams to promote and encourage, manipulate their viewers to vote for the left.
Okay, something very weird is going on this app, and if you're ever going to watch one of my videos all the way through, please let it be this one. So one of the people whose video I showed you there is this person who is verified with 1.6 million followers, and they don't ever post political content, like ever. And then all of a sudden they make a post saying people are getting paid as much as $200,000 to make pro-Democrat content. And recently I came across this guy, and he has a combined over 3 million followers, and he recently made a video saying this.
And this morning I got an email from someone claiming to be from the Democratic Party. And they said, what would your rate be to post positive videos about Joe Biden? And I replied back, honestly, I know nothing about the economy. I don't pretend to know anything about the economy, and I know nothing about politics, and I'd rather stay out of it. So they responded back, we understand you're not a fan of the Democrat Party right now. How much would it cost? I was like, you know what? I wonder how bad they want me to post this. 50 grand. And they said yes.
So here we have two very large content creators independently of one another making huge claims that, if true, would be quite the political scandal. I mean, the Biden administration paying TikTokers to promote their agenda without them disclosing it, and not only paying them, but paying them ridiculously well. And as you can imagine, I found tons and tons of stitches of people being like, they're speaking out, they're telling the truth. But what is their evidence exactly? Now we'll get back to Trevor in a minute, but since she didn't name who these people were in her video, I went to the comments to investigate. And this person says, then name them. And she says, I can't afford the lawsuit unless y'all want to bail me out. Now I'm not sure that's how any of that works, but okay, maybe you just don't want to name people. Now another person asked, can you give me an example of what this looks like? And she says, you'll see live streams of creators with the topic, Biden is the best president, change my mind. And then they debate and ridicule whoever challenges. Now obviously that's an absurd statement, but whatever, those two things by themselves, not that big of a deal. But it was this comment that made me realize she'd spent a little too much time on the wrong side of TikTok. She responds to somebody, some TikTokers were much bolder than me, saying that other people had already outed these people that are supposedly getting paid. Look up DNC pay creators, and on Twitter also, they included links to the website. And y'all know me, I love some links. I searched all up and down that DNC pay creators, and I had thought at the beginning that 200,000 number sounded really familiar, but I was like, there's no way. There's no way that that's what she's talking about. Surely it's not that. If you're not aware, back during the midterms, the Biden administration invited a bunch of TikTokers to the White House in a half-assed attempt to try and raise their social media numbers. Now, it ended up being around 200 content creators that got invited to the White House, and the DNC paid a company called Palette Media a retainer to take care of all the airfare and travel to and from DC, and several of them made multiple trips. But because Harry Sisson, who used to go by Typical Democrat on here, was managed by Palette Media, the right wing turned this into Harry Sisson got paid $200,000 to make his pro-Biden content. And the best part about this is that this is a ridiculous story back then. Now it's just absolutely absurd. Because like she said in her video, this is public record. You can go look it up. The DNC made 2 payments to Palette Media. One for $10,000 on August 4th, and one for $200,000 on October 19th, 2022. And I had already looked into this, but I double-checked just to be sure, and there was no other payments from the DNC to Palette Media. So that would have to mean that Palette Media flew 200 people to DC, back home. Remember, some made multiple trips, got them all hotels, did that for apparently nothing, I guess, and then for the last year and a half has been operating on, I don't know, a shoestring budget, I guess, to push propaganda for the Biden campaign. And remember, she said individual people were getting as much as $200,000. So if you have any evidence of that, I would really like to see it, because what you pointed to is not it. And when watching your video, you kind of make it seem like you have firsthand knowledge of this, which if you do, you should probably share that with us. If not, and what you're going off of is what you put in the comments, and this part of your video is true.
As a creator, integrity is one of the most important qualities. It's one of the things that I promised myself I'll never lose.
You'll take that video that so many people are stitching and saying is gospel down and possibly issue a retraction, or you can show us some at least half-ass decent evidence and make me look stupid. Now, I really hope you got this far in the video, because I said all that to say this, because this is where I'm going to take a few liberties, and I'm not going to accuse anybody of anything, but I just find it sort of weird.
So I want everybody to know, I'm going to be your hashtag ad that you forgot.
Why, if you're going to start a hashtag, would it be hashtag ad? What a way to make sure your hashtag gets no traction. And the other lady mentioned it in her video too.
We need to make hashtag ad a trend and get it out there ASAP.
But okay, whatever, you picked a dumb hashtag. But that brings us back to our boy Trevor, because remember, he got an interesting email from somebody claiming to be from the Democratic Party, offering him 50 grand per post. And this guy's claim to fame is making comedy skits. And before the interesting email post, 99% of his posts are not political, and a couple of them are very milquetoast, center of the road, the economy's bad, both sides are bad, yada yada. Like dudes talking about insane gambling stories, Santa isn't real, toxic relationships. After the interesting email post, we have Joe Biden sucks, Southern Border, where he basically gives Texas GOP talking points from a guy who says he's not political. Trump versus Biden, guess which way he leans. Complains about Ukraine funding. Trump in the Supreme Court from a guy that's not political. New California bill, where he flat out lies to appeal to conservatives about what the bill does. Video about the State of the Union, where he says verbatim, I don't know if Joe Biden was right when he said that inflation is way down. I didn't check, but it sure doesn't feel like it, which is a stock GOP talking point. Oh, and in the 2-minute video about the interesting email where he says he was offered $50K to post propaganda, he never once mentions that it might not be legit. But in the comments of that video, he says, I'm not sure if the email was legit. Huge disclaimer. And one guy's like, yeah, but a lot of people don't look down here. And then naturally, the next comment's like, well, it's a fact that the Biden administration is paying people to post propaganda. And again, not accusing anybody of anything. Just think it's a little odd that we have one creator that never posts political content going on a rant about people getting paid with the hashtag ad, and another big creator claiming that they were offered tons of money with no evidence, and then all of a sudden finding their political leanings. But it's also just as possible that she actually believes that, even though I think it's a little irresponsible to post that video without any direct evidence, especially after those allegations came out a year and a half ago. And it's also just as possible that he's doing it because rage bait sells and he loves them views. I'm just saying, it's a little odd, and maybe watch your FYPs a little closer.